Using working? Yep. All right. So you sent me that MLS number.
Yeah.
And so what's going on?
So this, let's see, sold at some point in the last weeks. But it didn't, the status didn't update on the Ewing site. And when I looked at it, I Googled the MLS number, I don't know my thing, and it was marked as sold or half of them are pending. I'm not sure which one this was, but it was marked, but it was supposed to be not active on the site. But it was still showing on the Ewing site. I checked the carrots underscore products table. It was not in there.
It was not in there.
It was not in there.
Okay.
Carrots only sent as actives and pending.
Okay.
I checked the regular props table, and it was in there. It was status of active. So I looked at the update date. It was that day. Updated on Friday. And I looked at just the most recent records in props, as far as date updated. And it looked like the page was running. I manually triggered the feed. You can do it. So what I did was just, I went into the admin, marked it as sold, and switched it to manual.
Gotcha. Okay. So from what you're describing, I'm just confirming what you just told me, that there's no MLS number. I'm doing the search. Are you able to see my screen all right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this query over here, I'm saying select from that carrots props. This is on the client's one, where MLS is like that number. That number you gave, that's the MLS number, right?
Yeah.
So I'm doing a like with a percent in front of that because when I just did a quick browse, it looked like the MLS numbers are prefixed with an SR, or at least some of them are.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't like a miscommunication from the client, like they sent us a number, but it's actually like SR, whatever, something like that. So that was just a quick check. So I can tell, yeah, like that one has an SR, but this one does not. So it's worth a shot. This one has a PS at the end. Let's put this crazy MLS. I'm really sure that you're correct, but I'm just gotta be 100% clear on that stuff. So I'm doing that like search again with wildcards on both sides, and yep, just as I thought, nothing. So judging purely by the size of this table, I'm gonna go back and click on the database link here in PHPMyAdmin, which will show me all the tables and the number of rows in them. These tables always take forever to do anything on, and Cholula's been having heart palpitations the last week and a half, which very well may be contributing to this, by the way.
Mike, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
We didn't tell everybody that what we're doing at the start.
That's true. And
maybe we should. I don't think Matt's here. I think Guy's here.
Yes.
Fine.
I'm just being noisy. Nosy anyways.
Good.
Well, actually, this is.
No, I know. I saw the invitation.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So what we've been doing for the last 5 minutes is Jason had the idea for, we'll call it vitamin shot because that's funny, of just having me or Stein or one of us experienced developer folk go through an everyday problem or support ticket or something that might come in and kind of see like how would we go through and resolve it, and that would be a lot more should be pretty beneficial for everyone involved. And Matt, I'm not sure if you're there because I can't tell with this newfangled Hangout thing, but if you are, this is definitely worth taking a look at. All right, so
I am here.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, keep an eye over here if you can. I'm kind of going through some MLS stuff. So So I guess a little more background on this. So Ewing's site is their front end is a WordPress site, but their back end is our old style Ion website, which is our own custom framework. It's not our Fuel IDX stuff, or not our Ion HB stuff. And the IDX data for it is provided from an outside IDX server that we built many years ago. It's very inefficient for the size of the data that we handle these days. It was awesome like 8 or 9 years ago when we were dealing with smaller data usually. So what that server does is it grabs all the data from the MLS, stores it over there on this Amazon server, and then every hour or 2 hours it kicks it over to the client websites. And that's what I'm looking at now. This is the database for the actual Ewing website on Cholula. And all of that type of data, you can tell what it is because we always prefix it with the name, the MLS. Ewing's MLS name is Carets, C-A-R-E-T-S. And so those are these tables over here. And in particular, the ones that we're interested in are ones that are 2 underscores. So this is carets __ props. That means that it's a table that we kind of put together. And typically with the MLS, they give us MLS data in many different classes, which I kind of talked about this at our Portland hoedown. So I might get one class for residential, and one for rentals, and one for land, and one for mobile homes or something. That's typical. For these guys, it looks like we're only getting one. It's carets all. So typically we have any tables like that. Normally it's like residential, rental, whatever, but in this case there's only one for all listings. And that only contains like the most recent updates, usually from like the last few hours. And that's why I look under this rows category here. That's so small. It has like 1,700 records in it. Whereas the props table, these __ props ones are where we combine all of those records together and the whole history of them. And so this contains everything. And that's why this is the table that we really look at. And this has 19,942. So that's a lot more. That sounds a lot better for the listings. But 19,000 listings, and this is in Southern California. Seems kind of low. As Jason said, it appears that the status is only active and pending. You can actually go into, I'll do it here. So to tell that, you go to the structure. I click on structure for this table, and I find a field that looks like status. So I'm just going to do a find in my browser for the word status. And listing status, that looks about right. And then there's an option here that says distinct values. I'm going to click distinct values. And even though there's a lot of data here, it shouldn't take too long. And indeed, I can verify it's only active and pending. So that's significant because it means that in this case, the listing is no longer active or pending. And the problem is that it should be, it should not be showing on the website, but it is. So, and we verified that this listing is, it is correct as of this table because it's not in it, and it should not be because it's not active, it's not pending. So that tells us that we the update that's happening on the client side properties table, which is what the actual website goes off of, has not been updated correctly with that information. Now, with these active and pending listings, normally with a good MLS, we'll get the other statuses like sold and expired and withdrawn, and this isn't usually as much of a problem because we get that new information from the MLS that says, oh yeah, this listing number 123, now its status is expired or closed, and we just update it, we're done. But in this case, we have to actually detect which listings are no longer present in the table and update our own client-facing props data with that. So that's where the disconnect is happening, is that the that detection is not operating correctly. So that's what I have determined is the cause of this particular issue because the data in here appears to be correct. So the way that we determine that of which listings don't belong is we have another table, and it sounds like the opposite of what it should be called, but it makes sense in a crazy backward sort of way. We have this deletes table. So this is from our IDX server because it's prefixed with that carrots IDX thing. And this table, let's see, there's 19,725 records in there. That's pretty close to what was in our __ props table. This table contains the MLS numbers of all active listings that should be present. In other words, if we have any listings that are not in this list, then they should be removed because they are not available in the MLS. The way that we get this list of IDs is we ask the IDX server, the raw data that we get, we say, hey, give us every single ID for every single listing that you have. And they do, and that's what we fill this up with. You might ask, why do we have this separate table when we should have all this data in our __ props table? And the reason is twofold. One is that this table is a lot faster to work with than the enormous props table that we have. Even just like I click browse, and it took less than a second to update the page, whereas it took many seconds to do that same thing on the props table. So speed is one major factor. The other one is that sometimes our props table only goes back so far. Like we might only have like a year or a few years of data, and especially on MLSs that do support solds and other listing types, we might have 10 years worth of MLS IDs, and it's a lot more data than we actually show on the site. And so sometimes this table can be pretty large, but since we only have actives and pendings, it's not much larger than our props one. So what's supposed to happen is on the client side, when we update our listings we pull down that data from the IDX server, we update and add any new listings that are new or need updating based on the timestamp, their modification date, and then we do not reference this table to do the deletes every time. We only do it once, maybe twice a day, because it is a very long process, it is a very expensive process as far as CPU resources are concerned. And so typically what we have in place is we have in our code that runs the MLS updates, we'll have a check to say if it's 8 p.m., then run it with this special flag to run that delete process. And that might be the only trigger that we have. So I'm going to bet that either something is off with that flag, like maybe it's never run at 8 because maybe the process is only run at like 7 and 9 or something like that. Those are just examples. Or it could be that maybe that code was commented out because of some troubleshooting or something we did before and we just never put it back in. Or it very likely could be only because this is on Cholula, which is having so many problems that Stein brought it up in our meeting because it's really having trouble right now. It could very well be that this extremely long and processor-heavy process is just straight up not finishing because the server has been so stressed out. So I'm going to log in to the server via SSH now, see what we can figure out. Alright, so log in as, let me see if I can enlarge this. Let me log in first. I don't remember, so I'm logging into Cholula, which is the client, the server running the client side, and let me see here. I'm looking for settings, and I'm looking for font size. There we go. That's better. All right. So yeah, so I don't remember Ewing's password off the top of my head. So I'm just logging in as Iron Mike. I'm switching to root. This information is in our password spreadsheet. And I'm going to switch over to Ewing admin with our older sites that are WordPress and Old Ion. We have two accounts for them. One is the public-facing site, which is usually the name of the client, and then the other one is the Ion admin site, we call it, which is usually a couple letters of the client plus the word admin. So in this case, we're after the EWI admin user / folder, not EWM admin, mind you. That one's for Guy. Okay, so let me see, EWI admin, and then I want to see. I'm going to switch to the EWI admin user, because now as this actual user, I can see what's in the cron tab. So in the cron tab, L, there's nothing there. And then I remembered to myself, oh, actually on these sites, because this is extremely inconsistent between all of our sites, there actually is not a cron job that runs on this to trigger the MLS process. It's actually on the IDX server that triggers the client site to do the update once it's finished updating its data on its side. So there actually is no trigger here on the client. So what I will do is I will then go into the log file. So I'm going to hit BI, center log, and then IDX underscore, and then the date. I'm just going to look at yesterday just to see an example of a full day's run. So here I'm looking at BI log IDX 2018-01-07 because the day is 01-08. And actually before I do that, I need a little more information. So I'm going to see if I can find where in the code it's doing that delete trigger. That usually happens either in our in these sites, in our old Ion sites, we call controllers brains. They receive a request, like a URL request, and figure out what to do with it. It's either in the API brain, which is what actually gets triggered by the IDX site to perform the run, or it's in our IDX feed actual real code. So I'm going to look in the brain first and see if I can find that. So brain API.inc, which I know because I've done this a million times. Someone is already in there, or was. Looks like November 2015, whatever. I'm going to hit enter. Alright, I'm going to go full screen here. And so now I'm just going page down. And here we go. So here it says set maintenance mode, deletes, etc. 10 a.m. and p.m. each day. Ha ha ha! I told you that code's in there. So it's just saying if date G, which I happen to know a G date is the hour, the 12-hour version of the hour. So this will run twice a day, once a.m. and once p.m. is 8. Then if this maintenance flag is true or false, and then run IDX. Our IDX code run with this true or false passed in. So if it's true, it should be triggering some code in our IDX thing that'll run some delete stuff. But let's make sure. So IDX is the new IDX feed class. I'm going to quit here, :q, enter. I'm going to load up our IDX feed file. And I'm going to look here is our page down run. It's looking for that maintenance true or false. I'm just doing one down. Okay, so here it says if maintenance, then run this update local sold props function. Alright, cool. And then also delete props. Okay, so we have verified that at least it appears that if this is running at 8 a.m. or p.m. server time, then it will at least try to run this sold function and also the delete function. Yeah.
If I may, I would like to point out that when I discovered, when I went in here on Friday, that a local sold props bug was commented about.
Oh.
I commented it.
I see. Very good.
It didn't seem to do anything though.
All right. Well, very good. So, well, that makes me wonder. We it's all over the place for sold listings. In the beginning when we were making the sites, we used to have everything on the props table, and that was fine for a long time. then we started doing sites where we'd have like hundreds of thousands of listings that are when you have solds in there, and so we started to put them into a separate table. But it got kind of weird because then you've got like 2 different types of prop objects, and it's in different tables, and you have to maintain not only the data but also the photos for each one and update both tables with IDX updates. So we kind of stopped doing that. And on some of our sites, we stopped doing that and then started to only maintain solds for the client only, which is a lot less data. And so if that was commented out before, it's possible that we were doing that, and then we were like, this is a bad idea, let's stop it. I don't know. So I was going to leave that as it was, as you had it last. So I'm going to look for this delete props function. I do a / for a search, and then delete props, and this is case sensitive. And / enter again to find next. And I'm just eyeballing this to see, like, does this look like it should run, and it's not having any weird anything commented out or anything. And it looks normal. I don't see anything weird commented out or anything. The only thing I should note is that this function actually will fail if it detects more than, in this case, 15% of the listings need to be deleted. We have a failsafe in there because you can never trust data from the MLS. And it's very possible that we have a drop connection or something that would make our system think we have to delete like every listing or something like that. It's something like that that's causing problems on Acre Guy, where it was like flagging all these listings as deleted. So that's a failsafe we have. It's possible that everything's running fine, but this failsafe is getting triggered. If that is so, then we'll see an error message like this that says, "Whoa, try to delete too many listings." And we can look for that in our log. But what I'm interested in is right here. We do have these log comment lines in here to kind of keep up progress in our log file, what's going on. So here, whenever this function is being called, it says deleting listings. So I'm going to open up that log file that I was going to open up earlier. I'm going to look for this phrase deleting listings and see if I can just verify that that's happening. I'm going to quit, :Q, enter. And now I'm going to load up that log file I was talking about before, 180107, yesterday's. Enter. I'll wait for a moment because it's usually a lot of data. And now I'm going to hit / and then deleting, space, and enter. And yep, okay, it's trying to delete listings. It's running at 8 a.m. And there it is. It says, whoa, try to delete way too many listings. Attempted to delete 12,545 props out of 32,268. That doesn't seem right. So I'm going to go back to the table here. How many listings are in that props table?
I think we're on 20,000. 19,946.
Yeah, so it seems legit. It seems like we have way too many listings in this, in here. I'm going to click on structure, and I'm going to click on status, and I want to see if maybe one of the reasons is that maybe we used to get more statuses than we do now. So I'm going over to the status field, I'm clicking distinct values, and we do have some other ones, but it's not a lot. So those are just probably their own listings that are being manually marked or something. Alright, well, you know, it seems... Look at this MLS region field.
So I remember looking at this with Jason.
Yeah.
Well, for a little bit, and I did notice on the actual IDX server for this is carrots, right?
That's right.
Yeah. On the IDX server, if you look in the actual like props table, the underscore props table, yeah, they do only get. Maybe you already mentioned this. They're only receiving active and pendings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Sorry. You may have already mentioned it.
Oh, that's all right. So I suspect, I happen to know that Carrots is a conglomeration of multiple MLS boards. That's one of the reasons that their MLS numbers are so crazy, and some start with different things and end with other things. because they're being marked from different boards that way. So and I only know this because I've lived it once already with carrots, is that they've had some boards withdraw from carrots, and when that happened, there was a big empty gap of listings that were no longer valid. So I reckon that this all appears right to me. Just as a final check, I'm going to check what the latest modified date is on this carrots props table, just to make sure that this appears to be up-to-date data. So let me see here. I'm just going to do a find. I'm going to type in the word modif, because usually that field is called modification something. Here we go. Listing modification date. I'm going to click on that to sort. And it usually sorts the way that I don't want it to sort. Waiting for it, waiting for it. Still waiting for it. This is why we have those other tables. This is why it's always such a drag to work with IDX problems too. Alright, and it did sort it the right way. And yep, our most recent ones are from today, 2018-01-08. So this looks good. I'm going to temporarily remove that restriction. Let's see. So 12.545. I'm going to just calculate the percentage of that real quick with my physical calculator I always keep at my desk. So 1, 2, 5, 4.
So what do you use phone for?
I don't have time for that. I don't have to unlock this. So this comes up as 38%-ish. So I'm going to temporarily change that restriction to say, instead of 0.15, I'm going to say 0.45. So I'm going to quit this. I'm going to edit that idxfeed.inc file where we have that number in there. I'm going to search for the 0.15. And I'm going to hit insert. I'm going to hit insert twice because that switches me to replace mode. And I'm going to change that 15 to a 45. Escape, colon, W, enter. This is now written. It is law. And what I could do at this point is I could change that code that says, maintenance is true or false. And I could set it to always be true. That the next run is going to be is going to run this code. I'm not going to do that, and the reason I'm not going to do that is because the time and effort that it takes just to rerun this feed and make sure that other feeds are not already running, and wait for it to run, follow up on it, and all that stuff takes a really long time. And unless the client is in dire straits, I would much rather just set this and then kick back and let it run its natural process and check up on it after it's supposed to run. So I'm going to save this. I'm also going to pull up the actual real file in Subversion. Admin, so UWI, admin Ewing SIR, trunk. I'm going to do an SVN up just to make sure I have the latest code. And I do. Guts, IDX feed. And what I should say to do is make your changes here and then upload that to the client site, because that way there's no question that what's in Subversion is matching what's on the client side, but I'm not going to do that because I'm a terrible person. I'm going to just search for that number over here and make the exact same change that I made on the live site with VI. 4.5, I'm going to hit save. Alright. I am going to commit that. So I'm going to say relaxed IDX delete threshold to 45% from 15. That goes through. Alright, so we all know that's the law. Now, because I haven't disabled that feature completely, I've just made it really relaxed. I think it's okay for this to be up and live, and I actually could just leave it this way. But I think I do want to come back and change that later. So I'm going to just write and quit this. And then I'm going to set a calendar reminder for myself for tomorrow at noon. Say, check up on Ewing prompts and see if those are really deleting themselves or not. I'll do that on just my own personal calendar. And reminder. Yep. Oh no, event. There we go. We're still getting used to the new Google Calendar.
I didn't realize the physical sections. I didn't need it.
Yeah, there you go. So I'm going to turn off the email notification, just regular notification. Hit save. Alright, so now I got to remind myself to just check up on this tomorrow. So it should run between now and then. And I'll hop out of here. And that's it. We just got to go back and see later.
Can you go through real quick your logic of why you're not having a panic attack about that 35%? Like how are you confident that it's not going to destroy everything?
Well, I am expecting it to destroy about 40% of the listings.
But I mean, why are you not expecting it to? Why are you not expecting a good chunk of that 45% to be good listings?
The purpose of our IDX updates is to mimic the data that we are receiving from the MLS. And so, if the MLS was giving us 40,000 listings last month, and they're giving us 19,000 listings today, we should be reflecting that on their website. So if we run this and it wipes out a bunch of listings, and they say, "Oh my God, Neutrino, we don't have any listings anymore in this area. It's the end of the world." I'll say, "Well, that's what the MLS is giving us. So let's figure out why that is." And at that point, it would be a phone call with the MLS, probably from them, of saying, "Hey, what's the deal? We used to get listings in this area," which we don't even know, like what's missing at this point. Like we used to get listings in this area, and they're gone now. Why don't we get that in our feed anymore? And they say, "Oh, because we changed this and that and whatever." Like it's a more of a bureaucratic issue at that point. But from what I see in the data, that deletes table is coming up at 19,000. The props table is coming up at 19,000, and so both of those tell me like, okay, we should have about 19,000 listings live on the site, give or take a bit, and we're having a lot more than that right now. So I'm pretty sure either deletes haven't been running for a long time, or more than likely with this particular MLS, only because I know that it's a conglomerate of multiple ones, that it's very likely that one of the boards jumped ship.
Okay, cool.
And that's how I'm not freaking out about it.
That makes sense.
I would say it's very likely once this kicks in that no one at Ewing's even going to notice, or it could be that it does nuke a good section of their listings that they used to have, and they definitely do notice and do freak out. But if they do, then I'm still confident we did the right thing because of the reasons I mentioned already.
Okay, cool. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That was very helpful.
Yep. Awesome. Vitamin shot.
I'm gonna play some.
Thanks, Jason.